So you've probably seen these educational animation channels popping up all around YouTube in the past couple of months. Some examples of these that I can just quickly name off the top of my head are the infographics show educational videos for students, oversimplified 10-minute history, crash course, history buffs, and many, many more. So this video is going to be split up into multiple parts just to make it easier to digest. If there's one part of the video you just want to jump to, I will have timestamps in the description, and I'll be using YouTube chapters if I can figure out how that works. But this aside, there's one phrase that I want you to keep in mind throughout this entire video, and that is this: in order to have a chance in a niche, you must be better than the best. That holds true with every niche here on YouTube. These educational channels have been on YouTube for many, many years, but have changed form, and I have evidence to back that up. But first, let me give you an example. So, pre-2017, you'd see a bunch of top 10 channels, like Top 10 Central, things like that, with kind of a spokesperson telling you something from behind a desk. It felt rather newscastery, and these videos worked at the time because of how popular the Top 10 format was. But around 2017, there was a shift in YouTube, and these channels died out because YouTube made a decision and changed some of the features. So the first change that they made was that Susan or someone at YouTube realized what was happening, and they decided to start denying and reneging the monetization of channels that looked like they were just made for monetization, which either effectively killed these channels or just nipped them at the bud. But they also added a new feature that led to the rise of this second form. They started pushing animation channels out of nowhere, which was good, and it allowed creators like Something Else YT and the Odd Ones Out to get some recognition, but there is yin and yang. You see, an animation channel, you usually assume that it took tons of effort and there was one dude slaving over a tablet or something along those lines to animate the video you were watching, and YouTube saw it like that as well. Meaning that channels like this could just start making animated videos and not only get a bump in views, but also get their monetization back with no problems. So, where were we? We determined that most of these channels probably started popping up around 2017 and gained views incredibly fast. So, if all this is true, then why is no one talking about it? In my opinion, it's because the content is educational, and when someone sees something that's educational, it's usually assumed as a public service. Now, there's one thing that I want to say before leading out into the second part of this video, and that's that we can rule it out just being one person who's slaving over a tablet creating all this content. Because how long would you expect this kind of video to take to make? Probably around 2 to 3 weeks, right? Well, the infographics show pushes videos like this out at least once a day, which leads me to believe that there's a team of people behind this, which usually would be fine. There's a team of people behind everything, usually on YouTube. A lot of the larger creators you see, there's at least a second person there. You know, PewDiePie has an editor, a lot of content creators hire editors, and that's fine. But when you have YouTubers or YouTube channels that just seem like companies, you know, for the infographics show, even if they did respond to comments, it seems like there's at least 4 people on that team. You know, an editor, one person to find ideas, maybe even a voiceover person, and obviously somebody to handle PR. That kind of detracts from the core values of YouTube. Even in the name, it's YouTube. If YouTube wasn't meant for one person, it would just be another streaming service, kind of like Netflix. But the reason I'm so mad about this is because it's anti-competition to the little guy on the platform. If you've ever tried to create a YouTube channel of any kind, and I know that most of you out there have at least tried to create a gaming channel once in your lifetime, you'll know that it's incredibly hard to gain any kind of ground. It seems like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, that kind of thing. And I'd argue that now the animation market is even harder to break into than gaming at this point because of channels like these. They're behemoths. They almost always hit trending tab, and it's hard to go up against them. Your animation will always never be as polished as these guys. Your topics will never be as on point. It's really hard to even compete against them, which brings me back to my original phrase of, in order to compete, you have to be better than the best, which is incredibly hard. And for a lot of channels here, they don't use ads in their videos. Who knows, their ads have might have gotten revoked. I don't have access to that analytic, so I can't figure that out. But in the current landscape of YouTube, ads aren't the thing that drives creators. Sponsorships are. And you know these videos are sponsored. And hey, you've watched this video halfway through, which means I'm willing to wager a bet that you've enjoyed this content so far. So if that's true, then why not add me to your subscription box? If you do, you'll get weekly videos that are roughly 5 minutes long and contain some pretty good content. You don't know what they're gonna be on, so that's part of the fun. But the monthly projects are where it's at, which is the kind of video that you're watching right now. So if you want to see more of these, or some smaller videos in the future, why not press that subscribe button? Back to the content. And these channels often incorporate some pretty common strategies that a lot of YouTubers use that you just don't know about. So one of these is called basically a watch time trap or a watch time hole, and it's where at the end of every video, you have two options for an end screen. One, you can recommend your newest video, or two, you can recommend what YouTube thinks is the best fit for your channel, which when you're a smaller channel, there's not as big of a sample size, so the recommendations that YouTube puts forward probably aren't going to be as great as the larger ones for things like educated videos for kids and whatever. Their recommendations are going to be a lot better. So what happens at the end of the video is I say, hey, see you next time, and if you enjoy this one, why not watch this one? And boom, recommended video. And I'm willing to bet that a fair amount of you click on that video. I know I'm guilty of it as well. 1 a.m. in the morning, can keep clicking. What you gonna do about it? But yeah, it's a watch time trap. They continue to suck you deeper and deeper into their channel, basically squeezing as much watch time as they can out of you. And watch time is what makes YouTube go round at this point. If you have more watch time on a video, that video will get recommended to more people and rank better in search. So by employing a watch time trap, your channel just gets all around better. I was always told to have a positive outlook on life, and you probably were as well. So what can we do about these videos? Well, if you're a student and you have to watch these videos, there's really not much you can do at all. The best thing you could probably do is just unfortunately watch the video and just don't interact with anything else on it at all. Don't leave a dislike, don't leave a comment in general. That's going to be a common theme throughout this part. So really, all you can do is just suffer through and watch the entire video. I know, educational videos really suck. But what if you're a viewer and you don't have a YouTube channel, you don't really interact with the platform beyond leaving a video, subscribing, and leaving a comment occasionally? What can you do about this? Well, the best things you can do is either A, immediately click off the video, which is the best option, or B, just don't watch it at all. What you don't want to do is, again, don't leave a dislike, don't leave a comment, because that's interaction and that counts towards their impressions, which currently on YouTube, the most important benchmark is watch time. If you get your watch time right, you're only going to go up. So, what if you have a channel? What can you do about this? Well, besides doing the aforementioned things, you just mention it. Even by mentioning it, eventually it has the chance to work its way up the pipeline where eventually, potentially, Susan Wojcicki or someone at YouTube might catch wind of it and maybe do something. Usually when we ask for something nicely, nothing happens, but usually bleeding from the community ends up in something getting done. Mostly to shut them up, but something still happens. So, you've watched this entire video, which means I'm willing to bet that you enjoyed it somewhat. So, if you haven't already subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you do so. But let's say you already subscribed, and man, what do I do with my life now? Well, you could click on God's Favorite Playlist, featured prominently in the bottom left corner, which has all my videos, mostly on my most updated series. So, go ahead, give that a watch if you want, or if it's later, why not click on the newest video link? Sure, it might be a bit broken now, but it just gets better and better, man. See ya.